The Cessna 172 is the most produced aircraft in aviation history. There are well over 30,000 airframes in the sky today, and it's been in production since like the 60s. So this is a goat of the aviation world. Naturally, it's prime choice for getting started in Flight Simulator. You've got a high wing, very stable design, and it's a single engine prop. Nice and slow, perfect for getting used to the characteristics and how to play the game. But if you're new to the game, you might not know how to start it up. So, don't worry, fear not, I'm here for you. Today, we're going to run through the dials and instruments of the Cessna 172, what all the buttons do, and we're going to run up through how to start it. In a later video, I'll be showing you taxiing, taking off, maybe going to patterns, and just the basics of Flight Simulator for someone who's new to the hobby. I'm D-Man, and this is the basics. Alright, welcome to the cockpit of the Cessna 172 Skyhawk. You can see that this model is fitted with some screens. We'll go through the details of those screens in a second, right after we get rid of these. So, lots of switches, lots of buttons, lots of dials, lots of knobs. Excellent, very, very cool. So, what do they all do? The two main things you see up here are the flight displays. They'll display all of your information, your speed, your altitude, your heading, how your engine's doing, your location, your comms. So much of the aircraft's functionality is run through these, which are your Garmin G1000 glass cockpit system. You would have seen older aircraft with dials like this. These are your backups in case your screens fail. Again, these just show your airspeed, your artificial horizon, and your altitude, and I'll go over those in a bit closer detail in a second. On the left here you have your electronics, so you have your battery, your alternator, your avionics masters over there. These are the display controls for the brightness and such. These white switches here are the lights, and then these three switches in the bottom here are for your de-ice and your fuel pump. This one is not in use on the 172 in Flight Simulator. Down the bottom here you have your magneto switch, very important. Your fuses, not important on this aircraft. Center console, very, very cool. You have your fuel selector, so that'll select whether you're using your left tank, your right tank, or both. Throttle, mixture. And then over here you have your flaps lever, which will decide how much flaps you have for takeoff and landing. Then here you have your air conditioning settings. Last but not least, down here in the center you have a parking brake, which just is like a handbrake for an aircraft pretty much. Apart from that, you got some lights up here at the top that'll turn on only when you have the battery connected, obviously, and a non-operational sun visor. That's the entire cockpit. So let's turn the battery and the alternator on, and now let's turn on the avionics buses, both of them. So you can see now our primary flight display is on and our secondary flight display is on as well. We just press this button over here and it'll turn on as well. So what do we see? Top to bottom, we have our nav radios. I'll cover those in a later video. We have up here will be your autopilot visual references. Over here on the right you have your comms radio, so that'll be the radio you talk over, especially if you're on that sim. I'll just get rid of this. Down here is the main section, so you have your artificial horizon. This will show how the pitch of your nose, the roll of your wings, and it'll show that in relation to the sky. You can see here we're sitting on the ground. You can actually see the terrain, just to give you a bit more reference. Over here on the left is your airspeed. This will slide up and down. This will stay in the center, but the dial behind it will move. And that is measured in knots. Over here is your altitude measured in feet and your vertical speed. So this will slide up and down, this will remain static, and the dial will move behind it. But this one will slide up and down along the scale. In the center here we have your bearing. So at the minute you can see we're heading 203 degrees, round about the southerly direction. North, south, east and west. Just to give you a bit of a bearing as to where you're looking. And it'll, as you can see here, we have a little autopilot bug that I'll cover in an autopilot video later on. Over here we have a map, just to give you again another reference, and that map is repeated over here. just so you can see and really understand where you are, just in case things go wrong. Also on the screen you have your engine and electrical systems. So you have your propeller RPM, you have your oil pressure and temperature, engine temperature, vacuum for the backup dials, fuel quantity, and then you have your electrical system for your volts and amps for your batteries. So you can see here that our dials aren't running. You see we got a little thing saying gyro popping out here. Got a little alert coming up here, and we have some low pressure, we have low volts, and we have low vacuum. That is because, unsurprisingly, our engine is not started. So I'll just run through. Yeah, we'll just jump straight into the starting procedure. So we have our battery on, we have our avionics on. Excellent. Next thing we need to do is check our fuel tank selector. So at the minute you can see it's set for takeoff or landing. It'll still start no matter what position you put it in, but I just usually put it in right or left just for starting it up. So the aircraft is now ready to start. The first thing you're going to do as well, just maybe run down your dials to make sure you've got enough fuel, your electric systems are stable, nothing's going wrong. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your magneto key, you're going to twist it around so it says right, gun says left, it says both, and then you're going to twist it around to the start position. You can let it go once the propeller is running, and then zoom in here and take a look at your engine. So you can see our oil pressure is moving up a little bit, our RPM is pretty stable, our vacuum is building. And you can see now as well that our artificial horizon has actually settled itself, so it's level, and we've gotten rid of that little warning thing. We've also gotten rid of our two or three warnings over here on the right, which means that the aircraft is happy with how it's set up, and we are good to go. So now that you are ready to go, you can take off your parking brake and move into taxiing, which I will cover in another video. But that's it. It's very, very simple. Literally like starting a car. Electrics on, fuel tank selected, magneto set to start. And that's also just a quick overview of all the different sections and what they all do within the cockpit. So I hope you found this video very enjoyable and very informative. If you did, let me know and I'll make some more tutorials. There are some more tutorials coming on the way anyway. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.